Hello and welcome to the 24th video in this beginner's guide to Adobe After Effects. In this tutorial, we are going to look at masking in After Effects. Now, as you start to use After Effects more and more, there are going to be times where you'll want to cut something out or only see a certain part of the video to create a certain effect. What we can do in After Effects is use what we call masking. In this video, I'll be introducing you to masking and showing you how to use it. So in this video, we'll be covering the following topics: what masking is, and how to mask with simple shapes, the pen tool, and with paths pasted in from Illustrator. After this video, you will get a better understanding of masking and how it works, so you will feel more comfortable and confident using masks in your projects. So let's get into it. So here I am in After Effects and I have a project open here that I am going to use to demonstrate how masking works. So what exactly is masking? Well, masking is a way to remove parts of a layer without destruction, keeping the original source intact. Now, unlike programs like Photoshop, we cannot simply delete parts of a video or image layer away, but what we can do is use masking to hide what we don't want to see. For those of you that are experienced with Adobe Photoshop, you may already be familiar with masking, as they work much the same in After Effects as they do in Photoshop. However, setting them up and managing them in After Effects is quite different. So let's take a quick look at a few examples. Now, if you have the project folder, you can open up the document I have here. With the project folder open, click into the S2 Essential Practice folder, into folder 24, Masking, and open the Masking After Effects file, and you will have the same document I have open here. This is a document you can use to quickly experiment with masking in this video. Now, if you don't have the project folder and you want to follow along with this tutorial using this document I have prepared especially for you, you can download the project folder for a small fee. The download link with instructions is in the description. The download folder comes with lots of exercise documents we will be using on this course that have been carefully developed to aid your learning experience. The folder also comes with document resources such as videos, graphics, and images you can use to build your first video presentation from scratch later on in this course. To get the full learning experience, I recommend you get the project folder. Download link with instructions is in the description. So with the project folder open, click into the S2 Essential Practice folder into folder 24, Masking, and open the Masking After Effects file, and you will have the same document I have open here. So now I want to draw your attention over to the project panel. Here you can see I have a folder called Mask Examples and one called Practice. For now, I need you to pay attention to the Mask Examples folder. So double click on the first composition here, Mask Video with Simple Shapes, and it will appear in the composition panel. So I'll make sure the time indicator is at the start of the timeline and I'll press spacebar to activate preview. So what we have here is a video I took from London Aquarium, but we can only see certain parts of the video playing behind this black layer. So right now it looks like we are looking through some small windows. So I'll press spacebar to stop the preview, and if we look in the timeline panel, we only have 3 layers. We have a video layer on the top and a black solid layer beneath. If I toggle the visibility of the black solid layer by clicking on the eye icon, we can see the blue solid below. Now, I'll press V to activate the selection tool and click on the top video layer, and we should see some shape outlines. These are shape masks which are applied to the video layer. The masks applied to this video in this instance have been created using shapes from the Shape Builder tool. So now let's come into the timeline panel and toggle down the properties of the video layer. Upon click, we will see a new property we have not seen yet on this course. Here we have a masks property. So if we toggle this down, we can see that on this layer we have 6 individual masks applied. Now let's click on mask 1 and toggle this down. So for each mask we have 4 properties which can be tweaked. On a mask we can tweak the feather by dragging this in and out. We can tweak the opacity of the mask, and we can tweak the mask expansion. Pretty cool. So if I toggle this up and toggle down the rest, we can tweak the same properties if we so choose. So this is a video layer that has been masked using shapes created from the Shape Builder tool. When a mask is applied to a layer, it will always be accessible from the layer settings as just shown. And I'll demonstrate how this is done shortly. Now back in the project panel, This time I want you to double click on the second comp, Mask a Comp with a pen tool. Now I'll make sure the time indicator is at the start of the timeline and I'll press spacebar to activate preview. What we have here is a person wearing sunglasses and with what appears to be a reflection on the sunglasses. This time, instead of using simple shapes to create a mask, I have used the pen tool to draw a specific shape to mask through. So I'll press spacebar to stop the preview, and if we look in the timeline panel, we have 3 layers. First, we have a shape layer, and the visibility of this is currently set off. And if I toggle the visibility of this back on, we can see it's the shape of the sunglass lenses. So I'll just toggle this off for now. Next, we have a composition layer. So in this instance, instead of masking a single video layer, this time we are masking a composition layer. And under this, we have a single image of a person wearing sunglasses. Now, with the selection tool active, if we now click on the video layer, we should see some shape outlines. These are the mask paths which are applied to the video comp layer. Now the masks applied to this video comp layer in this instance have been created using the pen tool. So now let's come into the timeline panel and toggle down the properties of the video comp layer. So again, we can see the masks property. So if we toggle this down, we can see that on this layer we have 2 individual masks applied. Mask 1 for the right lens and mask 2 for the left lens. If we click on mask 1 and toggle this down, we can see the same properties we saw in the last mask example. So when creating a mask with a shape drawn with the pen tool, it carries the same properties that can be tweaked with a mask drawn with a shape. Now back in the project panel, this time I want you to double click on Pasting Paths from Illustrator. I'll make sure the time indicator is at the start of the timeline and I'll press spacebar to activate preview. What we have here is a crown shape with some video of the River Thames and a Tower Bridge castle inside. So I'll press spacebar to stop the preview, and if we look in the timeline panel, we have 3 layers. On top we have a video layer, and beneath this we have a shape layer and a solid layer. The shape layer has a subtle gradient color applied, and if I toggle this off, the solid layer below is white. Now with the selection tool active, if we now click on the video layer, we should see some shape outlines. So this time we have something a lot more complex than the shape masks and the pen tool masks demonstrated in the previous examples. The masks applied to this video layer in this instance is from a path pasted in from Adobe Illustrator. So here I am in Adobe Illustrator, and here is a vector crown that has been prepared earlier. In After Effects, it is possible to paste in a complex path such as this to create a mask from. So back in After Effects, if I come into the timeline panel and toggle down the properties of the video layer, again we can see the masks property. So if we toggle this down, we can see that in this instance there are many individual masks making up the crown shape. If we click on mask 1 and toggle this down, we can see the same properties we saw in the last mask example. So when pasting in paths from Illustrator, the same properties can be tweaked on the mask. So those are a few common examples of how one may go about masking in After Effects. Depending on the complexity of the effect you want to achieve, you may either use the simple shape, or you may want to use the pen tool, or paste in a path from Illustrator. So let's see how we can apply masks to our layers. So back in the project panel, notice under the Mask Examples folder, we have a Practice folder. Well, in here you should see the same comps as above, but without any of the effects and masks applied. Now, I have put these together for you to follow along with me. So let's begin by clicking on the first comp, Mask with Shapes. So here in the timeline, we can see a number of layers. So let's start by toggling off the visibility of these layers. So from the bottom, we have a blue solid layer. Above this, a black solid layer. And on top of those, we have a video layer. So for this exercise, we are going to look at how we can mask using simple shapes made with the shape tool. So if at any point you want to mask a layer using a shape, we will first need to have the layer selected in the timeline panel. With the layer selected, we can come up to the shape tool, click and hold to select a shape. In this instance, I'll select a circle shape, and now I can simply click and drag on the video layer. And as we start to drag out, we are instantly creating a mask on the layer. Upon release, we will now have a mask applied to the layer. If I want to reposition the mask, I can come down into the layer and toggle down the properties to reveal the mask. If I click the mask, I can use the arrow keys on the keyboard to move the shape mask around quite easily. If I want to change the shape of the mask, with it selected, I can double click on the path with the selection tool and we will see the bounding box, which I can tweak accordingly. Now, if for whatever reason you cannot see the bounding box, come up and click on View and make sure Show Layer Controls is checked. Now, if I want to tweak this mask further, I can come and toggle down Mask 1 and add a feather, alter opacity, and tweak expansion like so. So that's how easy it is to apply a shape mask. But what if I want to add more masks? Well, this can be done quite simply. Again, with the video layer selected, I can come back to the shape tool, click and hold, select a shape, and simply click and drag to draw out another shape like so. This will apply another mask to the layer. And if we look in the timeline panel, we can see we now have a mask 2. Now, what if I want to copy this square mask and duplicate it on the other side? Well, if I come down to Masks and select the Mask 2 by pressing Command D on Mac or Control D on PC, this will duplicate the mask. And now we can see a Mask 3. So with Mask 3 selected, simply press the arrow keys on the keyboard to move this out to wherever you want it. And I'll do this while holding Shift to move it in larger increments. So just like that, you can duplicate a mask on a layer. So I'll make sure the time indicator is at the start of the timeline and I'll press spacebar to activate preview. And that's how easy it is to apply simple masks to your layers using shapes. Now remember, before applying a shape mask, make sure to have the layer selected first in your timeline panel. So that's one technique to applying a mask to your layers. Now there may be an instance where a simple shape won't do. Perhaps you have a more bespoke area you want to mask out. To mask more complicated areas, we can use the pen tool. So back in the project panel, this time I want you to double click on the second comp, Mask with the pen tool. So here in the timeline we have 2 layers. Let's start by toggling off the visibility of these. So from the bottom we have an image layer of a person wearing sunglasses, and on top is a video layer. So for this exercise, we want to place the video inside the lenses of the sunglasses to make it look like it's a reflection. So this time we have a very specific shape on the sunglasses to mask. To do this, we will first draw out our shapes with the pen tool. So to begin, I will toggle off the visibility of the video layer and I'll make sure I do not have any layer selected in the timeline panel. It's really important not to have a layer selected at this point. So I'll press G on the keyboard to activate the pen tool. Now up near the tools menu, I'm going to click on Fill and I'll set it to none. Then I'll drag the stroke out to about 5 pixels and set the stroke color to a white. I'll scroll in on my mouse wheel to zoom in a little and I'll start to click points around my first sunglass lens like so. Pressing and holding spacebar to click and move around my canvas area to add more points. And when I get near to the start, I will click on the first vertex point to complete the shape. So right now I have this rough shape inside my sunglass lens. Next I'll come up to the pen tool, click and hold and select the Convert to Vertex tool. Now I'm going to come back and click and drag on each vertex to add curve to my line. I'll do this carefully on each vertex point until I have a nice smooth shape filling my sunglass lens. Notice in the timeline panel, upon drawing my shape with the pen tool, I now have a new shape layer. Perfect. Okay, so now we need to draw the other lens. So this time I'll make sure the current shape layer is selected. I'll press G to make sure the pen tool is active. Now, if for whatever reason you see the feather icon, simply press G again until you see the pen icon. And again, I'll click to draw points on the next lens like so. And I'll click around and join at the end. I'll come up to the pen tool, click and hold and select the Convert to Vertex tool, and I'll click back and click and drag on each vertex to add curve to my line. Now I'll do this carefully on each vertex point until I have a nice smooth shape filling my sunglass lens. So I'll click off the layer and I'll click the magnification pop-up at the bottom of the composition panel and click Fit to zoom out. So down in the properties for the new shape layer, if we drop down the contents, we can see we have 2 shapes on this layer, shape 1 and 2, which are the 2 lenses. So now I want to get the video inside these shapes. Okay, so we are going to apply some effects to the video later. So before we start to place the video, we will want to pre-compose the video first. So to begin, I'll quickly right-click on the video layer and select Pre-Compose. On this occasion, I will name the comp Sunglass Video. I'll make sure to move all attributes into the new comp. I'll adjust the comp duration to the time span. but click off Open New Comp and click OK. So now the video layer is placed inside a comp layer. Great. So I'll press S on the keyboard to activate scale, and in the layers properties I'll scale the video down like so. Then I'll press R to activate the rotation settings, and I'll rotate the video slightly so it's in line with the sunglasses, until I have something that looks like this. Next, I'll press V to activate the selection tool and click and drag the video into place so it's neatly over the lenses. So now I'll toggle down the shape layer properties to reveal the contents and the shapes. Then down into the shape we will see a path option. So starting with shape 2, I'll toggle down the path, then select the path and press Command C on Mac or Control C on PC to copy. For now, I will toggle off the visibility of the shape layer on top. Now if I come to the video layer, I'll make sure this is selected. With it selected, I'll press G to activate the pen tool. With the layer selected, click once with the pen tool on the video layer, and then hit Command V on Mac or Control V on PC to paste. Upon paste, the paths from the shape layer will be pasted onto the video, and we should see the path highlighted like so. But now we have a problem. The path shape is for some reason smaller than the path we just copied from the shape layer. Well, this is because we adjusted the size and rotation of the video comp layer. When pasting paths into layers that have been changed, the paths are not how we want them. So I'll press Command Z on Mac or Control C on PC to undo that. Now the solution to this problem is to pre-compose the video layer again. So we just changed the rotation and scale of this video. If we now come back to the comp layer, I'll right click on the video layer and select pre-compose. On this occasion we will name the comp Sunglass Video 2. I'll be sure to move all attributes into the new comp. I'll make sure Adjust to the Composition is checked, and I'll click off Open New Comp and click OK. So now the video comp layer is placed inside another comp layer. So this time it should work fine. So again, I'll toggle down the shape layer properties to reveal the contents of the shapes. Then down into the shape we will see the path option. I'll toggle down the path, then select the path and press Command C on Mac or Control C on PC to copy. Now I will come to the video comp layer and make sure this is selected. With it selected, press G to activate the pen tool. If you can see the feather icon, just press G again until you can see the pen icon. With the layer selected, click once with the pen tool on the video layer and then hit Command V on Mac or Control V on PC to paste. Now we have the path exactly how we want it. So now I'll toggle down the video comp layer, and down into masks we will see we have one mask applied. To the right of this we will see a drop down that states none. Now if we click this and select Add, we have now masked the video into the first sunglass lens. Perfect. So back into the shape layer on top, this time select the path of shape 1, press Command C on Mac or Control C on PC to copy. Click back into the video comp layer, press G to activate the pen tool, and if you see the feather icon, simply press G again until you can see the pen icon. Click once, then press Command V on Mac or Control V on PC to paste, and the next path will be pasted onto the video comp layer. Again, back in the video comp layer, if we toggle down masks, we can now see we have a new mask. Where it states none on the drop down to the right, click this and select Add, and now the video is inside the second lens. Perfect. So that's one simple technique how we can place video into paths drawn from the pen tool. Okay, so right now this is not looking too convincing. To alter this, we can add some simple effects to the video. So if we double click into the video comp, we will open up a new comp with the video scaled down and rotated. If we double click on the video comp inside this layer, we will see the video is normal. So up in the Effects and Controls panel, in the search menu, I'm going to type in black. This will reveal the black and white effect below, and I'll drag this onto the video layer. Next, up in the Effects panel, I'll type in warp. Below in the Distort folder, I'll drag the warp effect onto the video. Next, over in the Effect Controls, I'll click on the warp style and choose fisheye. Next, I'll click off the video layer to deselect it. I'll come up to the shape layer, select a square. Then over in the fill, I'll select linear gradient. I'll push the stroke down to 0. Then I'll drag a little square on top like so. Then I'll press and hold Alt and Command on Mac or Alt and Control on PC and press F. And that will fit the shape to the video frame. I'll click back into the color box and set my colors for my gradient. For the left color, I'll select a blue, and for the right color, I'll select a purple. I'll click OK, then press V to activate the selection tool, and this will allow me to select the gradient points and tweak them like so. And I may have to zoom out a little to do this. So I'll move them so the gradient is at an angle. So once I'm happy with my gradient, I'll come down into the timeline panel, and on the layer properties for my shape layer, I'll click on the blending mode and select screen. If you cannot see your blending mode, make sure you have the second from left switch set to on in the bottom left corner of the interface. Okay, so with that effect applied, I can close the tab down and I'll see my new video comp with the effect applied. I'll close this tab down and we are now back into the main comp with the video inside the sunglasses. Now to finish off the effect, I'll come down into the timeline panel, and on the layer properties for my comp layer, I'll click on the blending mode and select multiply, and that will blend really nicely with the sunglass image below. So I'll make sure the time indicator is at the start of the timeline panel, and I'll press spacebar to activate preview, and that is looking pretty neat. So that's another technique to apply a mask to your layers. Now there may be an instance where even a path drawn with the pen tool might not do. Perhaps you have a piece of artwork drawn somewhere else you want to recreate in After Effects, but drawing it with the pen tool would take a long time. So to mask an even more complicated area, we can paste in a path from Adobe Illustrator. So back in the project panel, this time I want you to double click on the third comp, masking with Illustrator path. So here in the timeline we have two layers. Let's start by toggling off the visibility of these layers. From the bottom we have a shape layer with a dark gradient applied, and on top a video layer. So for this exercise, we want to paste in a very complicated path from Adobe Illustrator. So here we are in Illustrator, and this is a piece of vector artwork that has been created previously. We are going to paste this path into After Effects and use it as a mask. Now at this point, it would help if you already have Illustrator installed on your computer, as we are going to open this in Illustrator and copy the path. So to do this, we will first need our video set up in the composition like so, and then we will need to open up the path we want to paste in Adobe Illustrator. So with the project folder open, click into the Project Assets folder, into the Images folder, into the AI folder, into the Masks folder, and open the Crown Mask document. So to begin, we will need to select the shape path. So I'll click the shape and press Command-C on Mac or Control-C on PC to copy. Back in After Effects, simply select the video layer, and with it selected, press Command-V on Mac or Control-V to paste. And just like that, a mask will be created on the video from the paths in Illustrator. Easy! And if we come down into the layer settings, we can see in the mask section, we have lots of individual mask shapes that are making up the mask, which can be tweaked as demonstrated earlier. So that's how you can apply simple masks to a layer in After Effects. Now, in this video, I showed you some of the basic ways we can mask in After Effects. These examples were quite static and didn't really move. Now, once you have applied a mask to a layer, it is actually possible to animate it. Here is an example of how we can use masks and animate masks to create a dynamic type animation, where type seems to appear from a particular point. In the next video, we are going to build on top of what we learned in this video and look at how we can animate a mask to create a dynamic animation sequence like this. So see you in the next video.